But if that is an actual head and shoulders, what has to happen? No matter what, it has to come back and touch the neckline of the head and shoulders. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we've got several things to look at. Yesterday's video, I did outline the Elliott wave theory, and we're talking about how the Ripple XRP market cap chart has come down to touch the base of wave 4. We'll be taking a look at that today. Also, we'll be taking a look at the DXY because the DXY is breaking out to the upside. It's quite confusing. We have a break to lower lows, a break to higher highs while we're printing money and doing helicopter money. So we're going to take a closer look at that and see if we can find any measurements on the DXY. Also, I have found something that doesn't quite match up to the whole narrative that we're getting right now. Every morning I do like to put on CNBC during the market opening or during the opening bell to really kind of get an idea on which way they're steering the herd. When we watch historical points in time, CNBC is usually selling the opposite of what is going to happen. And the most recent example is when we had all the new highs that we've set, but a really good extreme of when it was going to the downside and they sold the idea of panicking was in December of 2018. They were not selling the idea of panic until it finally got to the bottom. They sold the idea of panic, then the market bounced. We are not seeing that yet from CNBC. We are not seeing that from financial media, the idea of panicking about your investments yet. So I don't think that the bottom is in quite yet. And my price point for the Dow Jones Industrial Average has been the 16 to 17,000 point range before we get a real bounce. There may be short-term bounces along the way, but if this market's going to actually save itself and go up for new highs, well, it needs to get down to that 16,000 to 17,000 range first. Also, so on that topic of CNBC, I was watching this morning and watched them report that flight schedules in China have resumed normal operations. Also, Starbucks has reopened nearly all of their stores. Now, I had been in communication with somebody in China back on March 7th and asked them, hey, how are things going? And they told me, and let me read, I'm not going to show my email, but I will read it to you. Everything is going well. Thanks for your concern. The, quote, flu, quote, is under control in China and production is estimated to be on time. So I got that email from them on March 7th and I said to myself, okay. Things seem to be going okay in the production world over in China. Now, of course, I could take that with a grain of salt and say, well, their emails might be getting monitored. They might be sending something that they're told to say, and they have to present an image to the rest of the world that things are okay, right? I don't really know the extent of what China's government is really like and how far they can reach, right? So I don't know that living here in the United States. So I have to assume that that could be a possibility, that they have to sell the idea that everything's okay. That was on March 7th. Then I went over to Starbucks website. So I'm on starbucks.com. And this is from March 5th, 2020. So this was 15 days ago. Today, as new cases in China are on the decline, most of the Starbucks stores in China are open again. So something doesn't smell right to me here. Stores are opening back up, business is resuming as usual, and flight schedules are back to normal. If we had something crazy going on that side of the world, why aren't they in total lockdown? The Starbucks article came from March 5th. My email came from March 7th. This is when there was hope and optimism that things were not as bad as they thought it was going to be. They noticed that things were on the decline and it didn't turn into some catastrophic event within China and business was able to resume as usual. However, while there was hope and optimism and recovery being shown in China, the U.S. stock market started to fall, and America went full all in on the narrative. So outside of the charts, I want to at least show you all that if you're living in some type of extreme fear right now because of the events going on in the world, there is evidence to show that China's been doing okay for weeks now. And they're back on track and resuming as usual. And that is not some government message being pushed out. That is based on the economic data going on in China. and being reported by companies that do business in China. So if you're worried you might be in quarantine or on, shelter in place for an extended period of time, it appears you won't be, at least until the Dow Jones hits the 16 to 17,000 point range. As we've mentioned in the past, this narrative is fantastic for taking all the blame off of the government, the Federal Reserve, off of the bailouts. It was something we couldn't predict. It was just something that happened. It was a black swan. We couldn't control it. Nobody's to blame, except, of course, for China, right? At least that seems to be the direction that the narrative's going to take. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I wanted to let you know there's conflicting data showing what's being reported to us in the United States and what's actually happening on the other side of the world. And you could see that just by looking at Starbucks' website. So back over here to the XRP price chart. This, of course, is the actual XRP market cap chart, in which we showed yesterday the Elliott wave structure of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming back down to the base of wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back down to the base of wave 4, which here we are on Wikipedia, and we could see when you have Elliott waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, wave to the base of wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC to the base of wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, base of wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, base of wave 4, which leaves us room for one more Elliott wave up to the top. Now, getting all of this off of the screen, one of the other exciting things that we noticed yesterday was this, that if we overlaid the past corrective pattern and how long the market needed to consolidate before it started another bull run, you can see that we have gone the exact length of time until this moment right here, which is actually tomorrow. So when the new candle starts, which is in about 9.5 hours from me recording at this moment, by the time it's uploaded, it'll be about 8 to 9 hours when we'll get our new candle. That will mark the exact same amount of time as the last bear market. As for me, I'm in high anticipation of that moment. The fact that we have consolidated just as long as we did in the past, let's do it. Let's go up. Let's get out of this extreme fear with everybody calling for 5 cents, 8 cents XRP. It has become just the mass herd mentality for 5 to 8 cents right now. And let's get this bull run started. And I've had messages too from people saying, what do you think? What do you think? And look, you just have to ask yourself this simple question. Do you think the value of the dollar is going to increase or decrease? Simple question. Over time, do you think it's going to increase or decrease? Historically, we have seen that the value of the dollar constantly decreases, and the current actions going on right now with bailouts, quantitative easing, money printing, helicopter money, stimulus, all indicate we are going to be printing money like crazy. In the short term, we're watching panic set in on stock sell-offs and people flocking to the dollar. We know that's short term. We know that's not long term. What's long term is the bailouts, the quantitative easing, the money printing. That's long term. Short term panic in a market buying the dollar because they're scared of stocks, that's short term. And we have to think long term. And long term, we're watching. Is that dollar going to fall? In my opinion, absolutely no questions it's going to fall. Let's take a peek at the dollar. We have watched the ultimate breakdown, crashing all of these supports, only to turn around on itself and crash the straight right back on up to the upside. So we say, okay, well, what the heck is going on here? And really, if we zoom out and take a look at it, we have to say, is it going to come back and test this neckline? Now, for a lot of new traders out there, one of the most popular things for a new trader is the head and shoulders pattern. So let's take a look at this from a head and shoulders perspective. If we have shoulder 1 right here, and we have the head here, we have shoulder 2 here, that would be our head and shoulders. So for anybody who knows what a head and shoulders is, what is the other rule that has to happen for a head and shoulders? I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it for a minute. But if that is an actual head and shoulders, what has to happen? No matter what, it has to come back and touch the neckline of the head and shoulders. In addition, with a head and shoulders pattern, you can actually measure the distance of how far the breakout will go. And that's by measuring the distance of the head. So you take a measurement from the bottom of the head to the neckline right here. So you can see it starts down here at the bottom of the head, up to the neckline, and we can just shift this right over here to where the breakout was. You could see that we've already reached out for the full distance of the head and shoulders breakout, and the only place for this thing to go is back to the neckline right here. So while we are seeing some crazy volatility going on right now and panic selling on the stock market and people not knowing what to do, the fact is we're printing money and that dollar is going to come down. So hey guys, I'm going to leave you with this. I didn't publicly announce it because it's just not something to do, but I might as well talk about it to give a little bit of like motivational talking right there. Last week I hit 7 years of sobriety. I'm not saying that to brag, and one of the things, we're in one of these really terrible times in the world, and historically during economic depressions or recessions, drinking gets really high in these times. So whatever, man, it doesn't matter. Your situation is different from mine, but last week I hit 7 years of sobriety. I can tell you, when I got sober, the idea of never drinking ever again for the rest of my life, it was the most unfathomable thing to think about. It was just overwhelming, and it felt like a truck would fall on top of me. The idea of never ever like drinking again. And the concept of it is that take it one day at a time. You don't have to look towards too far into the future, and just focus on getting through today. And then focus on getting through the next day. And today, just focus on getting through today. And there's another saying that goes along with being sober, and it's called, "This too shall pass." And I promise you, this will pass. This moment always passes. Look back on your life to every single time where things were absolutely horrible. Reflect on a moment in time where you thought your life was just garbage. And did you get through that, and did things get better? They did. That will happen here too. This too shall pass. Take it one day at a time. We're going to get through it, and we're going to be okay. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. Please like this video and give it a thumbs up. As I always say, it means the world to me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.